Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. I am Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me. So, we have yet another unspeakably evil, nasty, impure, whatever word that you want to describe this as, situation going on with Nickelodeon, which we all know is a show, a channel and a show. I don't watch it, but that promotes, shows and movies and so forth for young people, for children. Well, about a couple of weeks ago, I believe, there was a docu-series that came out that essentially exposed some dark, nefarious actions by some of the top people in Nickelodeon and how they were portraying themselves with young people, the young children. And there's a young man by the name of Drake Bell who was being interviewed that I got the opportunity to hear some of his interview. As a matter of fact, it was on a Breitbart News article. Someone had shared the article with me, and a friend of mine shared the article with me, and I think it was Breitbart News, and I began to read through the article. It's a very long article, and the article literally had an hour-long video in it. And I tried to watch that part where this young man, Drake Bell, who was an actor, he's now, of course, he's grown now, but he was an actor, child actor. And I tried my best to watch and listen to him describe how he was abused. And it was very heartbreaking, very, very heartbreaking. He could hardly get through the interview. Okay. And now, why am I covering this type of article again with this type of stuff? Because I see a pattern here of people like this being exposed. Now, I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that once I read a portion of this article here. Then we're going to get into the details of this because I see a pattern that may conflict with what I said in the previous video about whether or not this is God doing this or whether or not this is just some inner circles doing this to try to hide what's really going on. I don't know, but let's get right into this. Yeah. So this is pretty disturbing. And it's kind of, I don't want nobody to get discouraged about this kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, we have to expose it. We have to talk about it, right? Former child actor and Drake and Josh star Drake Bell says Nickelodeon's response to investigation discoveries Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV documentary is, quote, pretty empty, adding, quote, they still show our shows while I have to pay for my own therapy. And of course, this is the after effects of what happened after the documentary came out. Apparently, his accusations is top people are like, okay, all right, we'll protect ourselves, no big deal, Article says, I find it pretty empty, their responses, because, they still show our shows, they still put on our shows, Bell said of Nickelodeon during Friday's episode of the Sarah Fraser Show podcast, speaking out publicly for the first time since the release of Quiet and Set. Bell called Nickelodeon's response to Quiet on Set as, quote, a very well-tailored response that was likely crafted by, quote, some big attorney in Hollywood, pretty much so, I'm pretty sure, given that the network said it was, quote, learning about his trauma, noting they couldn't say that they didn't know about this or what had happened. I have to pay for my own therapy, Bell added. If there was any truth behind them actually caring, there would be something more than quotes on a page by obviously a legal representative telling them exactly how to tailor a response. As Breitbart News reported, the docuseries featured a slew of shocking revelations, including the fact that Bell was the, quote, John Doe victim in former Nickelodeon dialogue coach Brian Peck's child molestation case, a secret that has once been kept from the public, that has had been kept from the public for 20 years. Following the release of Quiet on Set, Nickelodeon told Variety, quote, now that Drake Bell has disclosed his identity as the plaintiff in the 2004 case, we are dismayed and saddened to learn of the trauma he has endured, and we commend and support the strength required to come forward, end quote. That's all I'm going to read right there. You guys can read the rest of that article in the description box below on your own free time. It's disturbing to say the least. And like I said earlier, I did watch some of that interview in the docuseries. So it's very disturbing, and I find this I won't say angering, but frustrating. But why am I doing this? Like I said, why am I doing this video, another video on these horrible sexapades, whatever you want to call it? I mean, why would I be doing this? Because I have to admit, something is going on. There is a lot of exposing of people that are people in the higher ups. We're not talking about the little people here. We're talking about the big people. We're talking about big names here. There's a lot of exposing going on. And could this be some kind of spiritual thing? Or could this be, as I said in the previous video, the top people trying to hide themselves from the obvious? Are they trying to shut the mouths of people that may be a part of their organization, and they're trying to destroy their reputation because they're saying things they shouldn't be saying, that they're coming out and trying to expose this type of stuff? What was the young man's name that played in Lost Boys? One of my favorite vampire movies from the 80s, by the way. I think it's Corey Feldman. I think that's what his name is. Correct me in the comment box below. But some years ago, he came out and confessed to being molested on, himself quite a few times, and as a child, and that his friend, I forget the other guy's young boy's name, that also played in Lost Boys, but I'm pretty sure some of you have seen the movie, know what I'm talking about. Young boy, I think he killed himself. I think he committed suicide. I know he died, but I think it may have been from suicide. I'm not perfectly sure, but whatever the case may be, he also was molested and by top executives or someone in the Hollywood system, and it really, really, really crushed Corey Feldman. It really crushed him. And one particular time they were having an interview with him. Man, it's hurting me. Oh God. But I know God is in control. I'm going to get into that. My God, it kind of a picture of that young man's mind came it came before me. Corey Feldman, the young man that Corey Feldman was friends with on The Lost Boys, that took his life. And to see this, it was very traumatic because this his young co-worker, actor rather, was really hurt that he felt that Corey did not help him when he was in his worst time. And I'd say sometime after that, I mean, he just took his life. And after the Lost Boys, I think his life, the other young man's life didn't really, his acting career didn't go anywhere, and then that was it. He ended up on drugs and something. It was just terrible, terrible, terrible. And it's just a terrible thing that's going on here. So inevitably, it leads to the question, is there some kind of spiritual thing going on? Is God, I know some people may not believe in God or so forth, but I do, and I believe that there are some things that may be good. Maybe God is exposing these people. I don't know. I'm starting to see maybe I was wrong in the previous video, but then again, I'm kind of like skeptical because the way America is right now, morally speaking. Forget about technology. I could care less about technology. People think that technology is, we're advancing in technology, and so we must be progressing forward. We are not progressing. We are regressing. When it comes to morality, America stinks. As a matter of fact, there was one particular communist, I cannot remember his name, but when he infiltrated America, he stated that he made a statement, and that was this, and I'm quoting directly what he said: "We will make America so corrupt she stinks. We will make America so morally corrupt she will stink." And that's where America is right now. And if this is accurate, which I believe it is, the communist insurgents have corrupted America so bad, we don't know which end is which. No one can tell the difference between right and wrong unless they have a strong moral foundation. It's going to pull them right into the pit. And far as I'm concerned, Hollywood is just stinky, nasty. It's just nasty. I can't stand it. They're nasty in almost every conceivable way. I don't trust anything coming out of Hollywood. And to continuously hear this kind of stuff, or anything associated with it, and to continuously hear this kind of stuff could allude to the idea that this is a spiritual exposing of corruption, or it could be someone else behind the scenes trying to shut the mouths of the little guys that may be saying something they shouldn't be saying. Okay. But yeah, more and more of this stuff is going on, and it's just crazy. You can't trust a lot of these TV shows that come out, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. My suggestion to anyone that decides they want to be, become an actor or, a Hollywood actor or any of that. Look, man, I'm just going to tell you flat out blank, forget about it. I'm serious. I'm not going to even suggest that you be careful. I'm going to say forget about it. Hollywood and the music industry in America is corrupt to its very core. They're satanic. Leave them alone. Find another, go independent. There are a lot of nice independent outlets out here. They pay pretty well. They may not pay as much as Hollywood studios do, but they're not nasty. They don't want to grope all over you, at least from what I understand. It's almost like when you have a lot of money, a lot of money, millions and millions and millions of dollars and even billions of dollars. It's almost like people have this kind of money. They don't know what else to do because they could buy anything. They could buy anyone. They could buy anything. And because of everything at their disposal, because of all this money and power, they get bored. I shared this with someone. They get bored and they like, man, let me try this out. Let me sleep with this person. Let me do this. Let me put on these, let me put on this leather suit and do whatever. Real sick, depraved stuff. It looks like the more money people make, the more corrupt they become. Because it's almost like money brings out the worst in us because now we have more power to access things that may be taboo to not only people in general, but to us personally. But we just want to try it out because I don't know what else to do. I don't know where else to go. When you're in poverty and you're struggling to make ends meet, you have to create things, man. Look, you have to start your mind. See, when you're in poverty and you're trying to make ends meet, you don't have too much time to be corrupt. And when I say corrupt, I'm talking about corrupt on a high level. Of course, there's corruption and immorality in poor people's neighborhoods and poor people. Of course there is, okay? But the stuff at the top, people tend to assume that because people have a lot of money that it's all good up there and they're cool because they got a lot of money. That's where the worst forms of corruption take place. That's where all the messing with the kids take place at, okay? It's not just the lower levels, it's at the higher levels. And oftentimes it's at the higher levels because they have the money, they can finance different avenues and finance different people to be runners for them and go out and do their bidding while they sit back behind ivory walls, hiding from everyone else, hiding from law enforcement, hiding from God if they think they can hide from God, No one knows these people. And so therefore, the little guys get arrested. The little guys get shot. The little guys get beat up. And meantime, the people that do all the beating them up, the little guys and doing all the rest think they're doing something. But when in reality, the matrix is much bigger than what you can see right before you. The matrix is huge. Y'all get what I'm saying, hopefully. But the matrix is huge. The world has been created by us, by these politicians and by the school systems and by organized religion is huge. And there's so many people plugged into this matrix that are being fed all kinds of garbage in the mainstream media, movies, politicians, false religion, you name it. And it's being poured into their brains and it's affecting their neurons. They don't know which end is which. They are off. My suggestion is unplug from Hollywood. Hollywood stinks. It is a sewage. It's a toilet. It's an open toilet with boo-boo in it. Boo-boo, pee, vomit, you name it, with corn bits and everything else in it. That's what Hollywood is to me. That's what the music industry in America is to me. So, yeah, it's just sickening, man. But hopefully this kind of stuff, if this is true, if God is exposing them, then glory be to God. Because I believe in God. And yes, if God is exposing these people, then glory be to God. Expose more of them so that people will start unplugging. Because as long as people stay plugged in, even if these individuals are exposed for the nastiness that they're doing with these young people, these other people are going to stay plugged in. They don't care because as long as they can get their sensual high, they're all right. They're cool. They don't mind being corrupt. As one person said, remember the movie The Matrix? Let me end the video on this. In the first Matrix, I believe it was the first Matrix or the second Matrix. I think it was the first Matrix, where one of the individuals got tired of the real world, eating their old nasty food and stuff, so he decided to get plugged back in, okay? And I remember when they plugged him back in with certain conditions, he was sitting at the table in dinner, he was eating, he was in a restaurant, obviously created an image created by the Matrix, and he's eating steak, and he takes his knife and his fork and he cuts the steak. You know what I'm saying? He takes it and puts the steak in his mouth and he chews it. And and then he opens his eyes. He's like, ignorance is bliss. In other words, you know you in a fake world, but you love the taste of this steak so much that you don't care. Ignorance is bliss. It's best not to know because, hey, if you know, then you're responsible for unplugging. But if you don't know, you cool. You're going to live in a world of bliss, but it's a made-up world, a world that's going to poison your soul to the very end. So my suggestion to people, man, they need to unplug because Hollywood and the music industry is corrupt. So that's what I had to say about that. Yeah, hopefully more and more of this stuff gets exposed. What do you guys think about this? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all and see you again.